Alright, so it seems like what's par for the course with a new Masterpiece review is going to be a new transformation video, because these things aren't getting any easier, which personally I enjoy. So hopefully if you follow along with this, if you're having some problems, if maybe you're a little too scared to do it, this should help you out a little bit. This is how I do it, which is roughly close to how the instructions show you. I may go in a step or two different, just kind of nothing really has to be particularly done all at once on this guy, so it really works. But there are some like different tolerances for some of the different pieces, and there's some kind of scary clips here and there. I've seen some of the reported breakages online, as have you all, which is probably maybe why you're here. Everything that I've seen, it looks like you'd have to legitimately attempt, like, force something to break it. It's $175, $180 figure. Be smart with it, right? Just be smart with it. So without further ado, here we go. First, you see this little piece right here. Get your fingernail under it. Just kind of fold it up like that. You'll have to do that later. From here, and it's not going to be like this as soon as it gets out of package. You'd have to put the gut gun in there and some things like that. You may have to tighten a few things up, and it doesn't quite close all the way up, but I mean, it's fine. It's going to be panel liney regardless, but it isn't awful. But anyways, if you want, like, out of the box, these back pieces aren't really plugged into these green pieces. They're just kind of like loose there, and these hands are also just kind of whatever which way. So I think that's really about it. So just kind of keep that in mind. But anyways, come back here and just kind of pull up. You put your thumb there, your forefinger there, and just sort of lift up like that. And then you can come back here and do the same. You can kind of see it's starting to pull out of the back of what will be the robot legs. And you can just fold that up and over. There's these two little tabs that you can see that plug into these little holes. So that's just how that works. All right, now let's just kind of move these legs out of the way, just sort of whatever, just to get some room for them. What I like to do is I'll fold these forward, and you'll see, like, anyone who watched the actual review, this side just seems to be loose on both of mine. I don't know why, but it holds its weight well enough, but it's not as tight as this side. So anyways, kind of pull out on that, and you sort of push it down just to get it out of the way, and then that will allow you to then kind of come up into here, and you can get this head out of the way. It's tabbed into the sides right there, and you can see it's already starting to come out on this side, so we're just going to get that out of the way and just kind of, again, apply light pressure to get that out of the way. Then you'll fold it back on that hinge to get us to the belly. From here, these aren't really going to be plugged in too particularly well. There's a tab that goes into this bright white piece right here, so you can probably kind of pull up on it, but that's going to already cause this to separate. If you haven't, again, grab it like that. And for this one, just try to slide your thumb in there. They should separate pretty easily. And then again, just sort of kind of pull up and then wiggle. Don't pull up a lot, just wiggle it, and it'll come free. And that will allow you to get these out of the way, so you can access this if you already put it in there. Just pull that out, and smooth sailing. So, all right, let's work on these first. You're going to fold this around and fold that in, and then grab like this and just sort of kind of wiggle there to undo the tabs. It's got kind of the interlocking tabs, and you'll just accordion it down, and it'll clip right on in, just like you saw there. So again, grab it just like that. Let's get it to focus if I don't hit the camera, and then just sort of wiggle it. There we go. Then accordion it down just like that. Doesn't take a whole lot of pressure at all. If you're applying a lot of pressure, you're not doing it right, you may break some tabs. So let's get these out of the way and just kind of start, I guess, with this. So these also, just like Cheetor's arms, will kind of rotate. Oh, I forgot to do this. You don't have to necessarily do this part first, I guess. But anyways, these will also kind of accordion downwards onto the arms, just like that. And then these little pieces right here, you can fold those in. They're not going to go all the way, but they will go enough of the way. Now that we're here, kind of take your thumb, see how I'm doing that, and just give it a good little swing around. Again, there's these little bitty tabs right here that were kind of interlocked into that slot right there that was by my thumbnail. And then you'll fold this all the way around, and you'll fold the Tiger back down. There's this tab that's going to tab into that slot, and you can, again, still get that out of the way. And just give it a good, you see thumb, index finger, line it up, give it a good pinch, make sure it gets in there. There we go, just like that. And just kind of line it up against his back. Here, you can fold these up. Again, they've got these little bottom tabs that interlock under there. You can just kind of give it a little wiggle, and it should be fine. And then this slot is going to tab onto this tab, assuming you have it up all the way and properly. And it's a very loose connection. It's not super duper tight. Just kind of make do with it. And then fold the tail down like that. And you're pretty much done there. Now, for the legs, which is probably my favorite part just because it's so intricate. But take your thumb and your index finger, grab on both sides of what will be the robot knee, and just sort of gently pull apart. And then you'll see there's a slot and a tab, and then an opposite slot and a tab, and then there's slots on the inner thighs and tabs on the inner crotch piece right there. Don't worry about it right now. We're just going to kind of let it hang. But then we'll rotate the waist like that. And then you can rotate this around. Some people are probably going to complain about that rub right there, but you really don't see it in either mode, so it doesn't bother me. I don't know why they decided to paint it, but they did. Anyways, fold the crotch pieces around like you saw me do, and there's that. And then again, you can kind of separate. You got some more room to work with these legs now, and you will rotate these pieces 180 degrees, just like that. All right. Now, again, move stuff out of the way as you need to. On to the legs. So, we're going to first grab this piece right here, rotate it, and just get it out of the way. And then you can kind of fold it up right there on that joint too. And then this, you're going to, it's on a sliding joint. So, I like to get my thumb in there and just kind of push it. Push it with my thumb. And that's going to allow it to, let's see, which way does it have to go? It's got to go that way. All right, so it'll kind of line up with what will be the outside of the leg. Then we'll bring this knee up, and we'll come back here, get you a fingernail in there, open this up carefully, and that should pop that out enough for you to kind of get in there and just get it all out like that. Rotate the whole thing around, and then grab it and rotate that foot around. You can then fold out what will be the robot heel, rotate the robot toe, and then just move that to where that's a flush bottom. Now, for this ankle guard piece, you're going to want to, it's the whole ankle and shin assembly, you're going to want to make sure it lines up because there's tabs and slots accordingly, and it should line up just fine. If you're having to like force it flush, kind of back it out, try to line it up again. Close this back up, and if you have to, you can always bend at that joint. Now, you're going to rotate this all the way around. You're going to close this up. You're going to rotate that inwards, and you can see there's that little tab. It's going to go into that slot right there. So, again, just kind of peg it in, and it's there. It's fine. From here, rotate it, tab side forward, and then rotate again below that, just like that. And there is one leg done. You can get it to see, get it to focus. All right, let's go ahead and focus on the other leg. We're just going to repeat these steps, not necessarily in the same order. It's just kind of whatever comes to me first. But anyways, get that out of the way, rotate it. You can kind of just pull this back again just to get stuff out of the way. Back here, again, it's on a slider, and it may have already moved all the way, but you'll know it because you like, it won't meet any resistance, because if it's meeting resistance, then you're not quite doing it how you need to, and you don't want to scuff up that paint on that leg. But if you get it to rotate around and it sits fairly nice and flush, you're doing it right. Pull the knee up and out. Again, come back here, pop this open. Be mindful of this little spike that will be on the shin. Just make sure it clears that, and then you should be able to kind of get in here. There we go. Just kind of pull it out, then rotate it down. This is another one of these pieces that was reported breaking. I forgot to kind of talk about on the last foot. It's such a free moving piece. It's not, if yours is overly tight, there's a screw in there, right there. Loosen that screw, because it's not meant to be overly tight. It's not meant to be pulled on. You rotate it. You don't pull it, you rotate it. So anyways, close that back up. And if you want to from here, you can just rotate this around. You can see, remember, tab right there, slot right there. And then that will plug in very nice. And then rotate this shin guard piece around, fold the heel out, rotate the toe, and then fold that whole thing in so it is nice and flush. And again, you got some tabs there, some slots there, and this is all just gotta line up, make sure it's just right. You don't want to force anything. It's just going to slot right in. It's not going to clip in or anything, so it's fine. But anyways, there you go. There's the other leg. Easy peasy. Nothing breaks. This is the severalth time that I've transformed this, so no issues there. Now the fun part. I think some other people were complaining about paint chipping on this green piece, this green bar that you literally don't see, but whatever. Doesn't bother me. So you see, I folded this whole head assembly out, and you can take this tiger head, and it's on a series of hinges. Let's move that up. So this is just going to fold over on itself. You will see there is a slot here, and then these little tabs right there. There's a tab for the first slot, and there's 2 slots for these 2 tabs. Now, there's also a tab here and a slot here. Everything's just kind of got to go together, and it does it all pretty easy. So you just, again, fold it all over on itself, and it's just like that. It's fairly snug, fairly secure, and then you just sort of collapse this in on itself, and this will, you can see where there's the gap openings in the tiger head to allow for the butterfly joint movement. It just sort of sits like that, and you're good. You're gravy. You are a-okay to go. So that's how you do that. Hopefully that clears up any questions anyone may be having. So let's straighten them up. Let's go ahead and open this part up and rotate these loose fellas around. That's something that I think is just maybe QC issue line wide. Sometimes they're loose, sometimes they're tight. I hate getting in there with my thumb to move them around, but you know, what are you going to do? And hope you have them mostly straight. So when you close that, you don't see any green. You kind of see some on the sides, but it is what it is. Ultimately, I'm fine with it. You just, you know, kind of mess with it to your liking. That's on you. You're an adult. So, all right, now let's get to the back, which I think I kind of have the most problems with. So spinning it around, oof, here we go. Let's just go ahead. You're gonna turn these around, kind of straighten them out. Again, turn the foot around, just sort of straighten it out. The tiger arms or the front tiger legs, I should say, are gonna kind of swing opposite of what they were. But you have a couple of independent hinge joints here. You got this hinge joint. You obviously have the tiger leg hinge joint, and that's all going to play into account here momentarily. But for the time being, just kind of go ahead and get them lined up as you need to until they cross each other accordingly, and you can then just sort of tab them together. That's a very loose fitting connection, kind of at an angle there, but that's gonna about be how you're gonna be working with this. So again, just sort of be mindful of that. Don't force anything, yada yada yada. So that should be fairly good to go. Now these are going to be what lets you know if you have it right or not. So completely rotate that around on this joint and then move it around if you have to, but it's got to go all the way just like that. And then this will rotate around. You can see there's this little tab and there's that slot right there. That tab has got to line up with that slot, so you know kind of how these have to be positioned. Like it'll sit flush in there, and like here's the other side of it. So I'm going to try to do this from the other side up here. I can get him to stand. Come on, buddy. What's going on here? What am I doing wrong? Okay. Nothing. It's just these knees that we talked about. Ugh. All right. So let's focus here. Rotate. There we go. Fold it. Rotate it. Kind of bring it down. Do the dance with it. There we go. So it's going to look like that. And then again, you got the tab there that's going to go into that slot. And both of these tabs are angled pretty differently. Kinda. Let's see. Did this come down all the way like it needed to? Is you is or is you ain't. There we go. Okay. So I just had to, again, if you got to rotate this, rotate that. And then that is going to, again, make sure that's plugged on like it needs to be. And then there you go. It's just they're just going to kind of loosely sit over each other just like that. And there you have the back kind of shoulder pads done and knocked out. So there we go. Make sure this is all good. Clean these hands up a little bit. Clean these shoulders up a little bit. And that's Tigatron. That's Tigatron transformed. Again, like I said in the review, you're going to have to play with these knees a little bit because they do like to kind of bend forward on that kind of secondary joint. But once you find that sweet spot and you utilize that ankle tilt, he's good to go. But and of course, if you have Cheetor, you should be no stranger to this. You just fold that open, get that out, come back here, pull the handle out, and carefully move the fingers. I think these have kind of loosened up already, just because I've been messing with it for the last couple of days. And you just have him hold it like he should. So there you go. There's your Tigatron transformed. Hopefully this helped you out if you were getting stumped on anything. I know for a moment there I was, but it's pretty fun. It feels like a more intricate version of Cheetor, and that's something I can get behind when it comes to Masterpiece engineering. So hope this helped you. Blah, blah, blah. If you liked it, subscribe. Thank you if you do. And I'll see you guys later.